Six times, 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 six times.
I've only run a few homebrew Old World of Darkness games, mainly with Vampire the Masquerade PCs, but I allow other Old World of Darkness characters if the player was familiar enough with the system. Games I run don't typically have a traditional plot. I don't so much like to play with the political aspects of organizations that the characters would be a part of, such as the Camarilla and Sabbat. I prefer having the party on a traveling mission to find an obscure artifact or NPC. I also like to keep my PCs in a house, castle, or general area where they must stay out of trouble, learn to work together, and survive for a time to solve a puzzle in order to escape. Apocalypse and end times are also pervading themes in my games. I like the idea of plagues, societal collapse, and the return of legendary creatures. I don't mind sharing pencils, erasers, dice, and books with other players. Since I have lost some of my books over the years, I won't lend a book or for a player to take home with them anymore. If you're interested enough, you'll buy your own, or at least come in early next time to read up. I like people to give their characters merits and flaws that they will actually use and have a reason for from a background story. If you choose Eidetic Memory and Iron Will, yet you play your character as forgetful and wishy-washy, you'll lose those merits and not get your XP back. If you choose Amnesia and Dark Secret, yet your character talks a lot about all the bad things they used to do, you'll lose those flaws, and I'll give you worse ones. By the way, background stories are encouraged and rewarded. I'll usually have a tag-along NPC with the party to generally help guide them to the next step of their adventure, but it's up to them which direction they head. When something epically tragic is about to happen, not due to a botch, but due to a player's choice of action, I pause the game and ask them if they want to use the brain. I have a small brain-shaped eraser that I will throw at the player if they decide to take back their stupid action. If they choose to take the brain, I will rewind the game to a point just before they wish, within reason. Usually a player can only get the brain once per chapter, but another player can take the brain to rewind the game so they can stop a fellow PC's wrong move. I don't like to see PCs die, so I feel that the clues I let slip in the game, as well as the use of the brain, have saved my players quite a few times. I have been told that I use an unusually high number of supernaturals in my games. Admittedly, I prefer it that way. You are a supernatural creature, so you will be encountering more supernatural creatures in your everyday dealings, especially if the world is ending. On the same note, I'm actually quite generous with magic items for an ST. Your character has a good chance of finding something magic in the first few sessions, even though it's probably something extremely mundane. Meet Tenderizer Giant Sling! Vorpal Nail Clippers! Seriously, you'll get more epic items the longer you play, I promise. Another thing you'll probably encounter a lot in my games is social taboos. Just to be clear, I'm not trying to push some sex cult or anti-religion agenda in my game, but it is my game, my world, and I am going to use my higher brain functions, baser instincts, and vivid imagination to come up with ideas for it. Plus, it's just a game. You can go back to the real world when you're done. Trust me, your core belief system will still be intact. In the meantime, use your noggin when you play, and your character will probably live to finally outwit that Elder Malkavian who's been yanking your chain the whole time. Being a storyteller of role-playing games, I enjoy the power of creating my own world that I can actually bring other people besides myself into and have them influence what happens in it.